In our first video, we explored that mind-boggling offer that God makes to every one of us. It's the offer of divine friendship. And it's within that friendship that you and I become the people that God really wants us to be. What I want to do in this video is I want to make a suggestion. I want to suggest that whatever makes for good friendship will make for good prayer. Debbie and I have been friends with Johan and Gail now for over 30 years. And in preparation for this video, I thought about that friendship. And I thought about those ingredients that have really nourished this friendship over the years. And what I want to do now is I want to share with you 3 of those ingredients because I believe they make for very good prayer. The first ingredient that I'd like to explore with you is the ingredient of intentionality. Good friendships don't just happen. Good friendships take time, they take effort, they take planning. When Debbie and I get together with our friends Johan and Gail, it takes intentionality. I give them a ring and we set up a time and we make a place where we can get together. Now, it's exactly the same in our life of prayer with our divine friend. On the one hand, we need to make time. We need to gradually discover a rhythm of prayer in our lives that really works for us. And what works for you may not work for me, and vice versa. Some of us are larks. We get up very early in the morning, and early morning is fine. But on the other hand, some of us are owls, and we go to bed very late, and that's when we are at our best. So can I encourage you to think of the rhythm of your life, and when are you at your best? And when are you able perhaps to carve out some space for time alone with God? On the other hand, not only do we need time, but we also need a place. And I think it's really important to be very thoughtful about this. To find a space, maybe at home, or sometimes even at the office, or maybe at a place on the way to work in a nearby church, a place to which we can go, a place where we will be uninterrupted, a place where we can perhaps speak aloud. You know, when Jesus taught about prayer, and you can read about this in Matthew chapter 6, he said, when you pray, go into a room and shut the door. That, to me, speaks of real intentionality. So that's the first ingredient. Let's be intentional around time and around place. The second ingredient is the ingredient of conversation. When we get together with Johan and Gail for an evening together, there's plenty of conversation, plenty of talking and plenty of listening. And I want to suggest that in our life of prayer with our divine friend, there needs to be conversation. On the one hand, in our conversation with the Lord, we share ourselves with Him. We actually talk to Him. And I want to encourage you to actually talk to Him, not only to think your prayers. Many of us often just think our prayers, and we never put our prayers into words. And very often, it can be a very helpful thing to begin to do that. One of the great teachers of prayer was a woman by the name of Teresa of Avila, and she said, the one condition about talking to the Lord is be thoughtful. Think about what you are saying to Him. So on the one hand, we share ourselves with the Lord, and we do that naturally and easily and conversationally. And then on the other hand, in a good conversation, we also need to listen. So I find it very helpful, and I want to encourage you as well, that in our times of prayer, we take time also to be quiet, to be silent, to be a little bit more reflective. Now you may be wondering, how does the Lord, speak to us? I've never heard an audible voice, and maybe you haven't either. And in our next 2 videos together, I'm going to offer a very, very practical way in which we can go about listening to the Lord speak to us. But this is the second ingredient of good prayer: conversation. The third ingredient that I'd like to look at is the ingredient of transparency. When I reflect on our friendship with Johan and Gail over these years, I can detect a growing honesty with each other over the years. We've really got to know each other well. In the same way, in our relationship with the Lord, we need to learn to be transparent with Him. And Martin Luther once said that the basic rule of prayer is never ever lie to God. And so we need to learn how to share with the Lord honestly what's going on in our lives, to begin to share some of our longings and yearnings, to begin to share some of our disappointments and our fears, to begin to share some of our joy and our pain, to begin to share with the Lord everything that's going on in our lives. Now you may say to me, Trevor, but why do this? Surely God knows. And all I want to say, this isn't about giving information to God. This is about growing an intimate friendship. And we grow an intimate friendship with the Lord as we learn to reveal ourselves to Him as transparently as possible. So in closing, will you remember, whatever makes for good friendship makes for good prayer. I've shared with you 3 ingredients of good friendship: intentionality, conversation, transparency. I hope you found that helpful. I'm looking forward in these next 2 videos to share with you how we can listen to the Lord.